morning and welcome to today's edition of the Politics and Business. A very good morning from every one of us here in the studio from the capital city of Abuja. And so much definitely to discuss. And as you know, my name is Isa Nu. And on this deck with me this morning is
Apampa Anifa. Thank you for joining us on the P&B Morning Show.
It's good, Apampa, having you this morning, and I can see that you are very, very set for today's edition of the program. And I'm looking up to issues happening in the country. One wonders where are we actually heading to. I'm looking at the cost of fuel in the country, looking at the issue of suspending or removal of tax, what do they call it now? Removal of the benefit we get from electricity tariff, and that it will be removed, the subsidy, and also the issue of the telcos applying the 50% increment. We've started receiving those hits for some days now, or for some years since the coming of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But Anifa, you are in position actually to tell us more on what is trending this morning on social media. And what do you have for us this morning?
Good morning, viewers. Today there are several things that have been trending along the social media. So for the first on our stories for what's trending would definitely be Aisha Yesufu and David Undain. David Undain has taken to the social media to allege that activist Aisha Yesufu alongside with Omowole Sowore were allegedly paid for the role that they played in the removal of the former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2020.
Well, that's a very good one, because now we are trying to have so much revelation on how Goodluck Jonathan actually exited power. And it's a very good one for us to start with conversation on that particular aspect.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to What's Trending on P&B Television, your #1 trusted source for the latest stories making waves across Nigeria and beyond. I am Apampa Anifa, and as always, I'll be your guide through the hottest topics stirring up conversations across social media, from political clashes to viral controversies. We've got it all covered for today. In the latest news we have for today is David Undain, the investigative journalist, has sparked controversy with a serious allegation on his ex, formerly known as Twitter handle, claiming that the activist Aisha Yesufu and Omowole Sowore, among others, were allegedly compensated for their roles in the 2024 protests against the Goodluck Jonathan administration. Aisha Yesufu has clapped back, demanding that David Undain provide evidence to back up his claims. Meanwhile, social media is deeply divided on the issues, while some believe that the Bring Back Our Girls campaign was politically motivated and funded. Others argue that the protests were genuinely acts of activism aimed to securing justice for the kidnapped Chibok girls. The online debate is heated up, with Nigerians questioning the motive behind the resurfacing of these claims after about a decade of it. What do you really think? Was this 2014 protest truly a grassroots movement? Opinions going on social media when David Undain had posted that Aisha Yesufu was actually paid, was rewarded handsomely for her. He should provide his evidence. If not, he can't come out and soil her reputation like that, claiming that she and this particular person do not even have a relationship, as they have both blocked themselves in 2021. As we can see here, a Twitter handle said, even if Aisha Yesufu supported Buhari in 2015 for the shortfalls of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, she eventually became the most vocal critic of Buhari and his brazen incompetence. She took risks that millions of us even can't attempt. I believe this is what patriotic citizens should do. Please, let's give this woman a break. Another user had to say, both Aisha and Equensili started attacking Buhari after they were not compensated like their fellow sister Adiza, who got a juicy appointment with the MPA. Could this really be the issue? Could it really be that Aisha was derived a compensation for the role she played in the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration? Could this really be it, or could this all just be speculation? And again, why exactly is this coming out at this time after about a decade of it's happening? Could this really be something going on behind closed doors that we, the viewers, are yet to know about? Keep staying on this. On the next story, we have in Kaduna State, a fresh political battle is brewing between the governor of Kaduna State and his predecessor in person of Malam Nasiru El-Rufai. Governor Obasani had earlier stated that there is no rift between him and his predecessor, as they are both cordial and have a cordial relationship. And also, he also made a statement saying that the power not because they could do anything better. He further praised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that no Nigerian president has ever whatever remains, however imperishable, is the truth. El-Rufai also accused Governor Obasani of receiving over 150 billion in selective federal reimbursement and grants from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. This latest political face-off has sparked a whole lot of debate on social media, from some people praising the Governor Obasani for standing on his own political will without political godfather. Some even had the opinion that, yes, we say no to godfatherism in Kaduna State, while others criticize Governor Obasani as saying him as a traitor, as he has betrayed his predecessor and also beating the finger that had fed him. Could this really, and some actually are his predecessor and him in person of Governor Obasani? We, the viewers, are yet to know. Or could this also be a battle for good governance, or just another example of development going on, from Aisha Yesufu versus David Ondeyi to Malam Nasiru El-Rufai versus the present governor of Kaduna State in person of Governor Obasani? Thank you for joining us at what's trending on P&B television, where we bring to you stories that are topping the chart on social media. Don't forget to join us on all social media platforms at P&B television, for where we discuss more updates and bring to you more trending issues. Thank you for staying with us. I am Apampa Anifa, and I'm wishing you a safe and productive day ahead.
Welcome back from that mild break, and Apampa just gave us a roundup with what is happening, or what is actually trending on social media, and I'm stating it very clearly. Apampa, you raised some issues about the Kaduna State governor that has actually been trending for some time, with respect to his relationship with his former boss. What are the issues?
Currently, there is actually Malam Nasiru El-Rufai had come out to make an allegation that the federal government has given the Kaduna State governor a grant of 150 billion naira. So maybe that is why he's trying to attack his personality. This is actually a serious and big allegation. We actually wait to see if the governor is actually going to come out to say something on this, because now it's looking like it's an attack on Malam's personality. Many things have been going on. Even in the latest interview with the Governor Obasani, he had stated earlier saying he is actually in a cordial relationship with his predecessor and they have no issue before Malam Nasir El-Rufai came out and clapped back at him. And before now, there have been an uproar from his sons, like throwing jabs at the governor and the like. So we know deep down that all is not really well between the governor and his predecessor.
So, because if you look at the issue between El-Rufai and his protege, I think that's what I should term it as, looking at their relationship over time, you discover that there are so many issues. Now, they were actually good friends. And now, politics, because for me, Ubasani is in a very tight situation, and we should expect him to actually do what he's doing. The fact is that El-Rufai is no longer on the good page of the president. And now, Ubasani, for him to get what he needs to get, to be able to do what he needs to do in the state, he needs to get some money from the presidency. Is it El-Rufai that is going to approve the money for him or not?
But does that mean throwing his boss under the...
He didn't actually throw his boss. It was an issue. It is either he chose the boss or he chose the people of Kaduna State. It's not that I'm in support. I'm not a fan of Ubasani. Okay. But at times you can be in a tight situation like this. Is it about the person that brought you on board or the people that you're actually governing?
But you can manage both.
How can you manage both? When the person that brought you on board is not also on the same page with your own leader, the political leader of the party, the first son of the party, which is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not, El-Rufai is not on the same page with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you remember how the screening went through for a National Assembly, how it was actually pushed or shoved away. The
truth is, after this, just like last week, Malam Nasir El-Rufai had come out to say he had stated clearly to the president that he didn't want to be part of this administration. He doesn't want to be in governance anymore.
But he went there for the screening.
So that someone raised this question to him on social media, but I didn't get to see his response. I'm not sure if he responded to it or he didn't, because I didn't get to see that. Was this statement, this thing you said to the president, was it after your screening or before? Because we are all aware you went for the screening.
No, actually, that happened before the screening. And I remember the president actually promised and said, look, I know this time around El-Rufai wants to leave the country for another degree. That no, you have to stay
and work with me.
So invariably, the president had made a public promise to this man. And the governor felt embarrassed the way he was treated at the National Assembly. For him, it was politics. It's not, because there are so many people that actually, if you look at it critically, there are so many people you start questioning yourself, how did they even get to that particular position?
And El-Rufai was denied.
And El-Rufai, if you look at the way El-Rufai was actually denied, that there was a petition. Do you know how many, even the president has so many petitions against him? So the issue of if the president wants El-Rufai to actually scale through, the National Assembly will have no reason not to actually allow him to pass through.
Then,
and that's where
is that not the democracy again?
No, that's not democracy. That's politics.
No, if the government, if the president had interfered, that means there is no transparency.
Has the president not been interfering in National Assembly
Assembly, okay.
We've seen situations whereby so many people actually carry out activities and then they say, no, it was not the president. But we know how politics actually play. But then still, that's how we can call it. So we'll go on a very short break, and when we return, we'll be focusing on what is actually happening in the country. And one key aspect of this is that the PDP have actually raised concern about how the country is being governed. And this time around, they are saying that the president must change his pattern and policies. The policies is having grave, very bad influence in the country. In short, at this particular point in time, the governor of Adamawa State stated very clear that the president is following the rules and regulations of the multilateral or multinational non-state actors of the world Bank, the IMF, the WTOs, and the rest, to actually is adopting their style or their advice on how to govern the country. And this time around, they are not happy with him, and that is coming from the Northeast PDP caucus meeting, which the governor of Adamawa State actually stated. But then, we'll be having Mohammed Saidu Etsu this morning, a former contestant of the All Progressive Congress National Party chairman, and also he is also holding a position in Niger State, where he manages the public and private partnership of the state. So we'll go on a very short. back from that mad break, and just before the break, I did inform you that we'll be having one of the major stakeholders in the All Progressive Congress, in person of Mohammed Saidu Isu, a former contestant of the party's national chairmanship position. Is here with us to actually look at some of this issue that the PDP governors have actually raised, most especially coming from the Northeast. And for many Nigerians who understand the terrain, you know how Bala Muhammad, the present governor of the Bauchi State, and also they said that the president wants of the president. Is the president actually taking us? We have Mohammed Saidu Isu, an expert in the field who understands how the APC is being governed, and also a major stakeholder, one of the major voices in the North Central, here with us in the studio. Mohammed Saidu, good morning, and welcome to the Politics and Business program this morning.
Thank you very much.
It's nice having you. And Pampa, before now, for many of us who saw the national, a young person to actually contest that particular position, until this moment, many people actually question, Mohammed, what actually gave you that that strength to actually stay put till the end of that particular election, before going into the details of this particular story?
Yes, I thank you very much. I think it's very important Nigerians knows that our constitutions and especially the party and other elective position that makes you participate in our democratic process. And after signing the Not Too Young to Run bill, I now find it pertinent that you can't make the change in governance without strengthening the political party.
Yes.
The way our party institutions are and the way we govern, we produce candidates for our elections, and even in the institution entirely. Because the political party should be like an institution that will guide the governance entirely. That's why we have manifesto, we have what will guide you to rule
throughout your term in
yeah.
office.
That's exactly what we want to do, and that's what gives us that corridor. Let's start something from the party level, because we don't have independency candidacy in Nigeria yet. Anybody that wants to contest an election must go through a political party. And if you're going through a political party, you must be able to re-engineer the system so that it will give you the best of the best amongst...
So in this particular case, you did mention the word manifesto, and it means that the APC, during the conception of it, that people actually, okay, let us have a political party, actually had a manifesto. And recently we had one of those board of directors who actually, or let me say, one of the key stakeholders who actually put up the party before the 2015 general election, former governor of Kaduna State, stating it clearly that APC have actually derailed from their plans of actually making sure that we have a country that is corruptless, a country that is free in terms of insecurity, a country that actually have abundance of food. And that was what brought the government. But now we now have also, in the same tandem, the PDP of the Northeast Caucus have actually criticized this government on the policies and how they implement some of these policies, and based on the advice of the leaders of the IMF and World Bank.
Yes, thank you very much. And let me start from the internal party, the stakeholders who are talking and giving their own opinion to what's happening in the system. Yeah, they have their right because it's their own opinion, but people should be also judge from their utterances and look at what is on the ground and what the government is trying to do. And so that we can, because they are not the one to judge for the entire 200 million Nigerians. Now, what we're saying now is that these are the people that are in the system, and now they are out of the system. And if you look at our history politically, a lot of people, when they find themselves out of the system, that's when they see things themselves clearly. But when you're in the system, I believe that they won't say all these things because they feel that they are also in the table, dining and whining with the system. But that should not give them that impetus to start criticizing, because there is way you can approach issues as a member of a party. You have to exhaust all your internal mechanisms before you even go out. And as a major stakeholder like Mal Nasir El-Rufai, who I believe that he is one of the pioneer members of this party, knows what to do to ensure that he put the party in the right track. But even though the party and what I feel as a stakeholder, we're doing our best to ensure that Nigerians benefit from this democratic dispensation of this current.
You know, sir, you made mention of saying that most of the time when they're in the system, they don't get to see these things unless they are out. Yeah. Well, it has actually become like has become a continuous process for them. Anytime they're in the system, like Malam Erifai now, people are bashing him that he's saying all of this because he is not in this administration. Because if he was in this administration, he would definitely not be coming out to say so thing. So it's because he feels he's sidelined and he's aggrieved, and this is why he's back out saying all sorts of things against the administration. And why is it that most of the time these people, you guys have occupied seats before and you know what's wrong, you know what can be done better, but immediately you leave office, you suddenly have a solution to all the problems you didn't have solutions to back then when you were in office.
That's why I'm saying that our major political actors or people that have gotten opportunity 1 or 2 ways in this country, when they are in the system entirely, they look at it as if it's an Eldorado. But when they're out of the system, there's when they started lampooning 1 or 2 policies of the government. You understand? But as a major stakeholder, everybody as a country, as a major stakeholder of this Nigerian project, you have right to ensure that the system improved. But the likes of Man Nasir Rufai, who has been a founding member of this party, there's a way he can be able to address this issue, even within the party. But let's not digress too much on this
aspect of him.
Let's go back to PDP governors from the northeast part of the country.
Almost, they're also actually having almost the same issue with
Exactly.
Yes,
but let me go
focus
back
on what the PDP said.
Because
Yes,
they are now opposition.
Yeah.
Who are trying to cash on some issues that are within the party hierarchy.
Yeah.
Mostly party institutions, mostly the leadership of the party and other things. But the issue or policy of the government. Now, let me come out clearly that since the coming of this administration, after removal of subsidy, our allocation to state has increased. Both the state and the local governments. If you are in the states where you received 9 billion, 10 billion, it has increased, like it has tripled.
Almost tripled, yeah.
You understand? To the allocation. What are you doing with your allocations? What are you doing to develop your own states? You can't just be lampooning federal government. What are you doing internally? There is a situation where governors today have hijacked local government funds without even allowing the local government to operate. It's the same balakara that when people talk or find a small issue within its system, he started lampooning everybody, even in the states. He has made himself like an emperor in the states that feels that anything can go. But now they are the same people that comes out and criticize government. Did Asiwaju stop any federal allocation to the states? Before the signing of new minimum wage, a lot of governors have a lot of cash to play around with to even develop their state in terms of economic activity, in terms of infrastructural development. What stopped you from doing that?
But their major concern now is not
when
just
you say
about
there's poverty. No, when you say
yes.
there's poverty in the land, when you got this money, what are the policies that you're doing? Let me tell you something about my state, for example. When my governor realized that the comparative advantage we have as a state, we have a land mass. The government put in his resources in agriculture to ensure that the state has food sustainability and even to feed the entire country. What is it doing in the northeast? What has it done to even look at the northeast governors? What have they done to sit down to look at their comparative advantage? What are they going to do with their resources to ensure
but
that?
Them, they will always say, they always have, if you look at the history of the Northeast in the last 20 years, you discover that the issue of Boko Haram has actually played a major role in some of the decisions they've taken.
In the North
and now, but you cannot compare what happened in terms of the Boko Haram attack in the Northeast with the banditry in the Northwest. These are two different scenarios. These are two different groups. But then still, if you look at it critically, their major concern now, if you look at it in terms of our poverty index now, it has actually increased. In terms of inflation, it has actually increased. The cost of fuel has actually increased. Subsidy has been removed from petrol. Subsidy has been removed from electricity tariff. These are their concerns, that Nigerians are actually suffering more than what we are in the past.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, we quietly admitted that we are in a serious situation, shackle of poverty. What have you done to improve your standard of living of your people? If you're saying there's insecurity in the north, likewise, the same thing in the north central region. In Niger, there's some part of the Niger that, if you in the last 2 years have been ravaged by banditry activity. And banditry activity are related to all these terrorists, if you look at their history and some of the things that they are doing, the modus operandi. You understand? But as a Northeast governors, there's a time that the region stand on its own in terms of agriculture, groundnuts, and so many other things. What are they doing now as governors? They are just busy building bridges, building things that will not make any economic impact. You understand? To the people. What are they doing to elevate people, to make sure that this region is industrialized? Let me tell you something. When people are saying XYZ, if you go to some of our northern part of the country now, in the last 2 years, how many industries have we springs up? How many industries have we supported to ensure that they stand on their own, especially the northeast region? What are you doing in Adamawa to ensure that you have this, and to attract investment? There are some private investors that are in Adamawa doing dairies, like Sambori farms and so many things. What the state is doing in terms of doing other things to ensure that people are economical, because government cannot come out and start dishing out money. And that is why, like me personally, I question the way we're dishing out money, doing all this cash transfer. What are we doing to re-engineer how the money will circulate within the system? It's not about giving handout to people. We should go beyond that now. We should be able to impact on people. We should draw a roadmap that people can sustain economically in the next 5 years.
Okay, I don't know if Anifa have something else to add to that question, but before she makes that impression about her question, let me quickly state this clearly. And one of the let me quote him directly. He said, "Nigeria is bleeding." That's the governor of Adamawa State. We are suffering, and there is too much anger, and the federal government economic policy is not working. In quote. It declared, highlighting the growing frustration among citizens over rising inflation, unemployment, and the general decline in the standard of living. So he is not actually speaking just for the Northeast or Adamawa State. He is speaking for the nation. If you say that what are the governors doing? The governors were not elected to be the president of the country. They were elected to be governors of their state. And now they are bringing a synthesis of the problems that we are actually facing. You actually raised the issue of Bago. Bago, yes, many Nigerians are actually commending him as the former governor of Nigeria. We are seeing a governor that is actually not actually paying much attention even to what is happening at the federal level. But we all know that everything he's doing, despite everything he's doing to make sure that yes, the state has enough food, the state can be able to export food and the rest. Will that be enough? Not everybody wants to be in agriculture.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I said something here before I move on to that. I said each and every state has its own comparative advantage. You as a governor, if you want to be a governor, you just don't be a governor, or you want to be a leader, or you want to be elected as local government chairman or president, that you just sit down and said, okay, no, you must come with a vision. What do you intend to do to improve on your people? Now, when they're talking about inflation, quite all right, there's inflation in the country, things have changed, the economic activity is not good, but the one federal government, if it's doing its own policy to ensure that I'm doing X, Y, Z, what are you doing in the state where you also receive the same allocation? Because the money that accrued to the federation account has been shared to the 3 tiers of government. Mostly, in fact, the state got more than federal government.
But is the federal government listening to the advice of the World Bank in removal of all this subsidy, all the things that Nigerians are actually supposed to benefit from? The government itself, removal of subsidy from fuel. Now we are talking about subsidy removal on electricity. We are talking about tariff increment by telcos. And then we are talking about so many of these issues that we are supposed to benefit from are actually being taken out.
Let me tell you something. If you're conversant with what is happening in the last 15 to 20 years of our economy, our economy is not productive economy. We are just a monolithic economy where we depend solely on crude oil. Now we're trying to open up the economy for people, because if you look at our population in the last 30 years, it has tripled. Yeah. It has tripled. And did it commiserate with the level of our development? Can you tell me now that how many schools has government built to complement the population of these citizens?
But that's what they are saying. That you cannot continue with these same policies by the World Bank. You should have a local solution to all these problems.
Now, that's what I'm saying. You know, when you came into the system, you realize that the government was paying subsidy for XYZ. the states were crying. Some states cannot pay salaries because there is no enough money to. In fact, the government is, if you are running a business, like you're running the studio now, where you took loan to pay salary, you're not in business. And government should be able to sustain itself before even thinking of other things. Now, at that time, the government cannot even sustain itself because the government runs to IMF, runs to this, runs to World Bank to take so many loans, goes to Chinese government to take loans. Now, how can we make ourselves sustainable? The government now realized that chunk of amount of money we're paying into subsidy. We need to withdraw our subsidy, see what we can do to diversify in our economy. Now, the government put in the money back to the states. I know what my states were doing before they even paid the salary. Our salary then was about 3 to 4 billion. Our salary, entire salary, total salary of the states is about 3 to 4 billion. But to even get that 3 to 4 billion, because there's a lot of loans that are attached. When you got about 6, 7 billion, you remove 4 billion, you remain with 2 billion, you have to pay loan, domestic loan, international loan that you took as a state. You're left with nothing. But now, after removal of subsidy, governors have gotten triple. What have you done with the extra before even implementing the subsidy? That's why you see the governors. That's why you see the governors, when they see a lot of money, they became lord in their states. Everybody started behaving as if he's an emperor because they have seen a lot of cash that they didn't expect. Right. Now, as a serious governor, when you have that influence, you should be able to see, okay, what am I going to do to ameliorate my people in poverty? If we're doing agriculture, what is our comparative? Is it dry season farming? Is it normal farming? What are we going to do to support our people? Because government cannot say people should line up and start dishing.
But you contested for the chairmanship position of this particular party, APC. Yes. The APC is in government now. Are you satisfied with the way the president is actually leading the country?
I can tell you that I'm okay with that.
You're okay that Nigerians are not actually benefiting from the government?
No. What I'm saying, don't tell me that Nigerians are suffering. I told you that the government, we have 3 tiers of government. Why is it people go to federal government?
But the policies actually are gotten from the president. The president, whether I would like it or not, in these 3 tiers of government, there is a level.
The federal government didn't show you that we have agricultural policy, we have this policy, we have this policy.
And how much is the government? How much is the government making available to see that people can actually key into it? Now, there are so many Nigerians that actually have businesses. And because of the subsidy removal, because of the increase in telco's tariff, because of the removal of subsidy in also electricity,
even custom duty,
everything has increased, and people are actually running out of business.
Yes, some can't sustain their business anymore.
No, it's quite unfortunate. I said, I told you earlier on that we find ourselves in this unfortunate situation as a country. The country has been mismanaged for over a long period of time. Fixing the economy.
But not by the citizens.
But how long do we keep saying mismanagement? We've been saying mismanaged before the last administration.
What I'm saying, let's get it straight. When you come to do a reform like this, a lot of people must be hurt. And this is what the president have admitted, that he knows Nigerians are in terrible situations, but the long term is going to benefit majority of us. Now let's keep patient. The government is just 2 years. Now, the last day, yesterday, the government have approved so many amount of money to put in terms of healthcare, to buy new MRI machines in some of our teaching hospitals, to improve our healthcare sector. The government is trying to put in money in our road infrastructure, the money, because we don't have this money before. That's why you see a lot of our projects are still.
But if you look at how the government has been run, especially the APC government, for instance, over time the promises are much more than what they actually put on ground. Why I say that is this: when you look at what they've been able to implement over time, and then you look at the corruption index of the country, you start questioning the integrity behind some of these policy statements. And now we have a government that have actually raised so much hope for the country, but on ground, what you see is far different on ground, in the sense that we are still having the issue of minimum wage, just 70,000 naira as minimum wage. But then when you look at the commensurate increment in terms of goods and services, it doesn't actually pay for it.
Let me tell you something. The country cannot be built overnight. When you're talking about minimum wage, I have a state that is paying above 70,000 naira.
And there are some
Even-
states that are still not paying that
Up to
amount
that
yet.
one.
There are still some states that are not paying up to that amount of money. Why can't we ask them, what's your book? Bring out your books.
They said they can't afford to
it is
pay.
not, they can't afford to pay, number one.
If you can't
Number
afford
two,
to pay,
the government
ask
that
him,
actually...
ask him, how much have you received then before the minimum wage, and how much are you receiving now? You must ask him, because the states have increased in their allocations. And I've told you the way up to now, the local government autonomy, the president is trying to ensure that it goes back to the government goes back to the grassroots. The governor are still fighting it, because any local government that have gotten his allocation directly from the federation account up to date.
Does that mean that the APC government at the
No,
national
it's not
level
about
is weak?
APC government. They are trying. There are some bottlenecks, because to implement those policies, there are some people that. But it takes a dogged president, and that is why the president ensured that this local government autonomy has come to stay. One. Now, when you're saying the states cannot afford to pay minimum wage or this and that, I know minimum wage up to now at 80 or 70,000 is still min for people. But when you increase minimum wage, you consider other sectors, private sectors, you consider other businesses, because when you say minimum wage, it's not only government that paid minimum wage. Even the private sector, organized private sector, must also pay their own minimum wage, around that 70 to 80,000 naira. Now, and you say now economy is not doing well. Economy is just trying to pick up. Our SMEs, actually, they are also down, because if you go to some of our places, you see businesses are
Collapsing.
But now the government is coming with reforms that we support, and that is why we come with these SMEs clinics, SMEs support grants.
But in the
that
process,
ensure that
making sure that all these policies and programs of the
you
government
can see the tax,
are implemented.
the tax reforms of the president is trying to exempt SMEs from paying heavy tax.
But SMEs,
because those are the things that you can support small businesses.
SMEs rely on this technology, and this technology are well taxed. And when you are saying you are not going to tax the SMEs, you are taxing the technology that the SMEs are using. It is still the same way of saying that you're also taxing the SMEs, and that has actually been our major concern now. We're having a situation where you are saying that, okay, you are going to have a tax relaxation for some of these particular businesses, but at the other end, you're actually receiving it from those who are actually supplying the SMEs with this technology or machines needed.
Let's get this straight. You understand? It's very important we realize that there's no how you operate in an organized setting like this. You must not also contribute to the economic development of the country. Yeah, the economy is bad. Economics are saying that things are not doing well. But how do you also support the system to ensure that we have a stabilized system, economy?
We supported the system by voting in president.
Now,
and the work is for the president to make sure that yes, it is done.
That's why the president is doing its best to ensure that Nigerians are happy at the end of the day.
Is the president actually doing his best when we still have the influence of the World Bank, the IMF on him, making some policy statement?
Over years came from these organizations. And the country now wants to stand on its own feet. And if you want to stand on your feet, you must ensure that you put some stability on ground to ensure that the country move forward. And that's why if people are criticizing the system, it's not that APC is 100% doing what Nigeria expected, but we're doing our best to ensure that Nigerians are happy at the end of the day.
With what you've stated, the funds Nigeria are getting from these multilateral institutions are very, very important based on what you've stated. But at the same time, again, there are conditions attached to these funds. So irrespective of how Nigerians react to the collection,
no country survives alone. You need other partners to ensure that your economy is stable. Even America, it's indebted, it's highly indebted. But because of the organized system and the organized structure and the leadership that they have there, it makes people not to criticize more. But our system is not much organized because of our previous mismanagement of the country resources. But now, with what the government is coming, look at what's happening in the oil sector. Look at the competition in the oil sector.
But the competition is still skewed, because we still have an NNPCL that's actually still importing fuel from outside. We still have an NNPCL where there is a competitor, Dangote, trying to run Dangote out of the system.
The market is open for everyone to participate in now. If you're importing your fuel, fine. And I feel that.
But why should we also import fuel?
No.
Why should we?
I feel that I'll go to Dangote and get at cheaper rate than NNPC.
Why should we even import fuel if
Exactly.
NNPCL
that is the market. That is the free market. That is the free market.
It's a free market, but we have the crude. They said that the refinery in Warri is okay. That of Rivers is okay. Port Harcourt is okay. So why should we even think of even refining fuel? Does that mean that we still have our crude oil being taken out of the country? Most especially when Nigeria have actually alleged that Malta is actually owned by Nigerians.
No, I can't substantiate on that because I don't know Malta. I don't even know anything. I just heard it the way you heard it. What I'm saying, what we are saying now is the competition in oil markets. It has really tells us how our economy has been sabotaged by these oil mafias. Now, in the few days back, Dangote has reduced its price. It will not force the other people to go to, if you were going to MRS at you're buying at this XYZ, or you're going to NNPC and buy at this XYZ, or you go to Airano, or you go to any other filling station. It's not there for you as citizens to make your own choice. But the market is highly competitive. It's not the way that the market is highly regulated, that the unified prices that we have there, that people will just say, okay, NNPC has increased price. Everybody, including independent and dependent marketers, have increased the same price. No. Now, the market, go to Dangote. If I feel, if I'm a distributor, I feel that going to NNPC will favor me. I'll go to NNPC. If I feel that I should go to Dangote refineries, or I should go to modular refineries that are in Bini and what have you. It's now left for you to make a choice. That's what we want to do in the system, to make sure that the system run effectively.
Your party states that there will be enough food, there will be security, there will be freedom, and Nigerians are actually going to benefit from the APC. These were some of the manifestos in terms of the pre-2015 election. Yeah. Now we had a 2015, a 2019, and a 2023 election. It still seems that your party are yet to actually achieve the basics of this manifesto.
I can't comment on the security situation, but you should judge yourself. In the last 1 year of this current administration, with what you have previously, did we have improving security? You should judge it yourself.
But we still have people being killed in the Northeast.
Exactly.
We still have people being kidnapped. Here in the FCT.
Yeah, in FCT, just last week.
There was a kidnap.
There's no society that is crime-free. The only thing that you do as a government is that you continue ensuring that you do your best to reduce it to the barest minimum. And if you look at now in Birnin Gwari, if you look at the last report, before Birnin Gwari, Kaduna Road is not accessible. Kaduna Express Road, there's a time that Kaduna Express Road has become a bandit checkpoint. You understand? But today, you hardly had that story. I have people that travel from here to Kaduna from 6 a.m.
Yeah.
The new resurgence from Boko Haram that are coming from the Northeast are the remnants who are trying to show the whole world that they're still alive, and which you can't rule out. It's now left for the security to do more to ensure that they subsidize them or eliminate them finally. If you look at what is happening from my state, Niger, there's a time that you can't even go to farm, but I have people that are going to Shuru now to go and arrest their foods. Because there's improvement, even though there are still sketchy attacks somewhere else. But our current government is doing its possible best to ensure that the country is safe for each and every one of us. So we're talking about other issue of what do you call it? You mentioned something in terms of food security.
Yes.
The federal government, through its agricultural food security policy, is trying to support states to give them more input in terms of agricultural support and whatever. Currently, in my state, we have about more than 10,000 tractors on ground, having a farm estate virtually in all these local government of the state.
10,000 tractors.
Yes, I can tell you. Not tractors and other farm
inputs,
implements, modern implements, harvesters, so many other things to ensure that we sustain. If you go to our states now, we have a lot of warehouses that we have enough food that we store, because we are looking at in the next few months we started having some shortage food supply because of the supply chain. And the reason why people now realize that the country are facing food challenges because of the supply chain, the global supply chain, the Ukraine-Russia war, so many other things that have supplied. But now, what we're doing as a country, let us be sustainable to be able to feed ourselves. And you can see other states are also keen. Look at Jigawa State.
But when will the
Look, if
president...
you go to Jigawa State, the governor is doing very well.
But the issue is, when will the president come back and stop...
when you said advice,
to loans. And I believe the reason why they are saying advice, like the governor of Adamawa State stated, the reason why they are saying advice, and part of the condition will be, okay, this is how you are going to spend. This is how you are going to spend it. Do this, remove this particular thing, remove this particular. These are concerns. Is it all the kind of loans that are available that we should actually push in for?
I don't know what we do or what are the process of taking these loans. But what I can tell you now is that the current government is trying to make the country sustainable itself to stand on its own economically. And that's why we are doing what we have to do, what we have best to do, and have their own resources or take their loans here.
Okay, on a last note, do you think the leadership of this country have actually sacrificed the cost of governance commensurated with what the citizens are actually facing? Do you think they've sacrificed more? Because we have a very large cabinet, we have different fleet of the president, we have, if you look at the budget of Aso Villa, look at the motorcades of Aso Villa, you start questioning yourself. Do you think they've actually sacrificed more than the citizens?
Because every time it seems like it's really the citizens that are being asked to sacrifice.
Let me tell you something. There's no any world that the government sacrifice more than citizens. It's citizens that are sacrificing more than the government, because they are the one contributing to the system to ensure the government runs by paying taxes and by bills.
But then the government actually are using some of this money
what I'm
for
saying is
themselves.
that the mismanagement by the system and over-bloating of the system entirely because our system is over-bloated, that our cost of governance is high. I admitted that too, because if you look at how some of our states are being run, how some of our governors run a convoy, it's alarming, because there's no point. I've seen a situation where a son of a governor is on a bulletproof. Who's looking for the governor's son?
Thank you so much, Mohammed Saidu Esu. It's nice having you always. And I understand how combative it is.
Yes.
Being an APC person, definitely, you should expect things like this to happen. And we pray and we hope that the government will get it right.
Amen.
This is how far we can go today on this morning program, discussing with Mohammed Saidu Esu, a major voice in the APC and a key stakeholder in the North Central, trying as much as possible to galvanize Nigerians towards greatness, most especially the youth in the country. Thank you so much once more for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Anifa, Papa, do you have anything to say?
No, just to Malam Saidu is actually, now I see why you could go head-to-toe with your
other contestants.
Yeah, with other contestants during the last election, because you really are in this with your party. I can see like you are really in this with them. Thank you very much for joining us on the show this morning. We really appreciate you for coming out this morning to be part of the program.
So from the decks here on P&B Politics and Business TV, we say have a wonderful day and stay blessed. And from this end, I say goodbye from Isa.